Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We hope you are having a great time so far. I am delighted to introduce our next session, Brokers Risk Management Expect the Unexpected. This session is led by Albina, and she is the Chief Operations Officer at Tools for Brokers. She will introduce her panelists and help you discover efficient risk mitigation to safeguard your business and clients. So ladies and gentlemen, please ensure that you all are provided your headsets and make sure to return them at the points at the end of this session. So ladies and gentlemen, please may we have a big warm welcome for our panelists here on the stage.
That we're talking with the best experienced people today, I would give a word to the panelists to introduce themselves and the companies they represent. Please, Dennis.
Weissert. I work with iSAM Securities. We're a liquidity provider and technology provider. I'm in the industry for over 15 years. I was in a bank and at a broker from time to time.
Sorry, they are not hearing you. No, you need to turn on.
Can you hear me now? Okay, thank you very much. So thanks for having me, and pleasure to be here. I work with iSAM Securities. We're a liquidity provider and technology provider. I'm in the industry for 15 years. Worked in a bank, in a broker, in a retail broker, in a fintech company, and was managing director of operations and client success. And I'm running the technology at iSAM Securities.
Thank you very much, Albina. My name's Adrian Carr. I work for Nasdaq, and a lot of you will know Nasdaq as Nasdaq, the stock exchange, but we have a very large fintech arm, and I work for the fintech arm. So we produce a lot of technology on the exchange side, clearinghouses side, as well as many other pieces of technology such as CFDs as well. And I work for Nasdaq for 7 years and been in the banking industry the last 20 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Albina. My name is Shiuan Theo. I work for WeTrade as a director of global markets. So we are a retail FX broker. I've been in this industry for 12 years. Started my career in Cyprus, then moved to London, then Asia right now. Yeah, hopefully I can share more knowledge about this as a broker perspective.
Thank you. As you see, the panelists we have today can give us really a broad view about the topic. We have very different angles to look at. And the very first question I want to ask you is a couple of words about the recent changes and the current trends that you see within the industry. I know it's a broad question, but if you can sum it up, that will be wonderful. Dennis, please start.
Yeah, I can start with this. So I thought about this and changes in risk management. So risk management were always there, and I'm not sure there was a change. It's not like we did A and now we're doing B and disregard everything we did in the past. I think there's a lot of what has evolved. So we do what we did in the past and we evolve and doing more and more. So an example would be looking at, I think we talked about it a minute ago, looking at patterns where how traders behave and how you analyze if you want to take the risk of the trader or not. And now I see that brokers more and more looking into not only post-trade risk management, so the trade is done and is it a risky trade, what do I do with the client? It's pre-trade risk assessment, which new challenges. So is the deposit of the client and the account opening from the same IP, or does the passport, the country, and the amount they deposit match? So I think it's evolving and it's a catch-up game, and I'm very excited. It's one of the most exciting part in what I do, meeting with a broker, and they tell me, oh, this is what we are looking at now, and then I see what can I implement, what do I think makes sense for the broader audience.
Theo, what is from your perspective? What are the trends you see today?
Well, as a retail FX broker, I would say that just from the Asia market alone, since we are in FX Asia, I see some changes from the retail clients market. I would say, I think first of all, there are more events like EXPOs that held in Asia. For example, like Sydney last month, and then in Bangkok, there are more things or services or products that are from, I would say, from the West, from Cyprus or from UK providers, they are actually offering to the Asian market. So the clients are kind of, their behavior are changing or shaping towards more, I would say, similar to what is offered in Cyprus or UK. This is what I see. And also, of course, changes we talk about, like prop trading. I think one of the big topics right now. And also, I think it started, I think, a few years ago back from FDMO itself. Then right now you will see, like in Asia, people are start also talking about prop trading. Yeah.
Adrian, what do you see from your view?
Thanks, Albina. I think, leveraging on what Dennis said earlier, pre-trade does seem to be coming more in focus. We are seeing a lot of hedge funds approaching us, a lot of asset managers talking specifically about the fact that there are imminent regulation changes around the world, different regulations. So pre-trade is becoming quite an essential focus at the moment. And that is a case of, before I take on this risk, is that order, before it becomes a trade, does that order need to be validated against the limit? Am I going to accept that? So it seems to be a lot of, there is obviously the post-trade, looking at my current risk in real time, understanding if I take that risk portfolio, I stress it forward, or do historical VAR backwards, where we, in terms of holding the baby, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But there's also there's the pre-trade element, and then there's also a technology element as well that we are noticing. In the past, you'd tend to find little firms grow up to become big firms, and through these acquisitions, they lo and behold have about 6 different risk systems. So one thing that we've noticed in the industry, a theme, is that I've got this asset class in that risk system. I've got my limits and alerts in this system. I've got my historical VAR in that system. They've bought over time the industry experts in terms of what type of functionality they want. And now it's a focus on harmonizing. How do we bring it into a single platform? How do we bring multiple asset classes into a single view? And also, listening to the AWS earlier, the talk earlier on, one before this one, people are going, well, I need it all in one place, but I need to modernize my tech as well. So we need to take it into the cloud. And that's sort of the themes we're seeing at the moment.
That's a very interesting thought. And I'm thinking from here, because as we're discussing, there are different types of risks, and they are including starting from technology, onboarding the clients, because that risks as well with security or matching the information, and going to the filtering all that into one platform. Still, would you advise or say that from your perspective, something or multiple of them should be, certain risks should be taken in the highest priority today? Theo, what is from your company, what do you see as the highest priority when assessing the risks?
Well, I would say regulatory changes is one of the highest priority that brokers that needs to look into. As changes will really make a broker probably just lose entire markets the next day. I think recently, I just read that Malaysia Labuan, they just decided to do only only currency pairs for CFD, but you cannot offer non-currency products. So that really, a broker need to consider about having more regulations in order to target different markets. I think that would be the highest priority. Yeah. Or in terms of entering a market, that a broker should look at, of course, compliance, regulatories, what would be the customer's behavior in that market, but not forgetting that also about hiring. Yeah, normally hiring is also a big risk to many brokers when they set their foot in the new market.
Dennis?
Yeah, so I want to add to what Adrian said. I think the focus is a lot on which team members you have, similar to what you said. So if you're a small broker and you have a small team, then it's hard to catch up with the risk. If you're a big broker, you have a bigger team, and it will be even harder to catch up with the risk because you have thousands of accounts who are doing millions and trades. And even if you have a system, especially what you said, if you have like 6 or 8 systems, your team will just not catch up with the alerts. And it's like having a hole in a bucket. So you do all the marketing efforts, collect all the clients, and the money is just falling out of your pocket. So you need senior team members, you need a healthy team, and you need a centralized system to understand your risk, and that your team can actually work this off and find the risk or the abusers before they hit you too hard. So I think the focus is there. I see that the team is still super important.
Definitely. Adrian, you have some thoughts about that,
Yes,
think.
I do. Thank you. And of course, you're right, Shiuan. Without being regulatory compliant, you're not going to be in business. So that is the first focus. I think what we've seen recently, actually, is probably about 18 months ago, 12 months ago, there was a cyber attack on one of our clients' back offices. And what it ended up being is that having a real-time risk platform where all of the technology or all of the positions were being consumed in real time, all of the market data was being put in the same platform in real time. They asked us if we could turn on the platform, the API, so that the REST API, so they could start feeding all of the data for their hundreds of thousands of clients out of the system, and they could use all of that data to provide end-of-day statements to their clients. So we're finding now it's a trend that people tend to want a backup for their middle office, a backup for my trading. It's cyber's becoming a thing that is now on your radar, and we tend to find that people are saying, well, what if this did happen? What if this event occurred again? How are we going to be able to recover from it? So a backup to your main system is what we're finding, a system which will be able to, I guess, be intuitive and be able to help feed your client statements and things like that.
Yeah, I would like to add something. Totally agree with the backup part of it. So brokers getting way more educated. So from just keep it running and hope for the best to what my technology actually does. Can I fail over? Have I tested with my provider a failover scenario? Or do I even have a second technology in place? Because if I have a single point of failure, we all know how the industry got nervous when one of the main front ends was removed from Apple Store, and everyone said, "Oh, I need a backup. I need something else," and they did better or worse. But on the other hand, if your bridge system or your risk system fails, doesn't matter which front end you have. So I think agree with you that the understanding of the point of failure and am I prepared is there is some acknowledgement slowly, which is good for us.
That is a heavy weight for every brokerage now, I think. They're thinking, oh gosh, that's endless list to do. And with that, I also noticed there are trends of some companies wanting to rely more and more on the technology and wanting the softwares and the risk systems to do everything, to take the actions. And would be interested to hear your thoughts about where is this thin line about what technology can do by itself and when it should be the manual check of the risk manager, of the person, like how to navigate through that to the brokers. Who wants to start?
Yeah, I don't mind starting. Look, everyone, we can't have a panel discussion and not mention artificial intelligence. That'll be wrong. But I think you can leverage some artificial intelligence. You can allow it to make your day-to-day tasks better. But you are not going to replace the role, at the moment anyway, of a risk manager who's got 15, 20 years of experience and understands the market. We've been through some really unprecedented times recently. These black swan events were named as they are because they occurred very infrequently. Well, they're occurring more often at the moment. The only thing you need to get used to is that change is going to continue, and it's how you deal with that change. Unless you've got that experience behind you, unless you've maybe become a risk manager by coming through the back office and being able to understand what it means to close out the trades and how to deal with any errant issues of any errant trades that you've got to deal with. Unless you've got all that experience, I don't think you're going to, in the near term anyway, replace an expert risk manager. Maybe you can use some tools that will make your life easier and streamline some functions. but I think a risk manager at least is here to stay for the short term.
Now, I'm just wondering how many person per the risk managers per number of the clients then we need to have, or per technologists, because then you can drone in the notifications. What do you do in your company?
So on your point, I agree 100%. I think AI and new technologies making life easier and make you more productive. And it's a good tool for standardized work, back office work, withdrawal work, finding money laundering or stuff. So amazing. But for risk management, it's not the right tool. So AI is very good in standardized processes, but you mentioned black swan events or some certain trends in the industry. It learns from past experience and it learns on patterns. And if there's a new pattern, there's nothing learned. And you do not want to get the risk into a black box and hope the right thing comes out. So not forever, and technology evolves, but I think certain standard tasks and data can be organized for you, and the risk manager does the decision in the end, has an overview, and this is how I would handle this, and hardly advise everyone to put the right resources on it and have a human eye looking on it. So, yeah.
Theo, as a broker, tell us from your experience how much is possible actually to trust the technology.
I would say that we should put trust in the technology. In the broker's risk management perspective, I would say that the risk manager should design the entire policy and SOP on how things works, then leave it to the tools, the technology to works. Because in terms of risk management, there are people have feelings or it's more emotions that the technology. I mean, we should use technology to avoid this. Especially when, let's say, the markets are volatile or certain clients, I don't think that a person's emotion should be involved in, especially in dealing. And also, in terms of another one is more to the front end on onboarding clients. There are plenty of software that actually, are more accurate than, by humans to process KYC. And they can cross-check on more database immediately. They can do continuity checking. So I believe that we should have technology in place, but also must have a risk management to oversee the entire system and ensure that it always works.
I think you're right. It's a healthy mix. So the onboarding and, as I said, KYC and stuff. That's something it's a standard. You totally want to automate it, and you want to flag certain things which doesn't match, and then a human looks at it. And at the risk one, you get your emotions out, and I'm totally up for rules and patterns and checks and risk appetite. Just the human needs to be involved at this stage in time we are at the moment.
Especially when you're expecting a lot of onboarding or clients are trading a lot. I mean, I don't think that like what you asked, like how many risk managers that you need. Like you couldn't have, I expect next month we have a lot of volumes coming in, then I put 2 more. And then when the volume is gone, then you take them out. You couldn't. So technology is the best thing to use.
And if there are things like elections or a Brexit, there was no Brexit before. So how would you learn from past patterns? So you better are on the desk, have your coffee, and make a decision awake.
Yeah. Or country deciding to change how their currency is priced today, like with franc, I think 10 years ago or something, when they changed the pricing. So we are back to having a good team and having experienced people and people who know how to analyze all the flow of the risk management. But I want to also check a little bit about the regulation and regulatory perspectives, because across all the countries we have more and more strict rules. They are more about the trading though and the reporting, and not so much about technology. But I think with AI getting more implemented, I'm pretty sure we can expect something more regulated in different countries towards the technology as well. Maybe you know something about that from your experiences, or you think it should be done or shouldn't be done. Adrian, you want to start?
There definitely is regulation that is going to impact the technology providers as well. I was at a conference recently with AWS, and there's there's DORA coming on, there's DORA coming up, which is going to impact certain parts of the technology. To be honest, the regulation is almost like the industry itself that we all live in at the moment. There's continuous change, and the regulation is going to continuously change. There's MIR refit, which just went live last month or beginning of this month. Again, more changes to comply with. But I guess at the end of the day, you want a technology provider who's across the board. There's a good... The clients are the experts at the end of the day, and if you do meet and talk enough with your clients, you will get a good understanding of what you need. What is my short-term roadmap? What is my strategy in the long term? And changes will need to be continued. And that's why you need a good technology stack that can easily adapt to changes.
Yes. Dennis?
Yeah, on the regulation, there's always this catch-up game. The regulation kicks in, and then some brokers moving away or some companies moving in different jurisdictions. I think something interesting will happen in the near future. So if you see some things like the code of conduct, global code of conduct, so I think companies will comply on purpose with less regulation to have a good branding, a good status, like other global companies doing low emission or zero emission. And then if the technology is similar, or especially with the broker, if there is zero spread, I choose the broker where I personally would choose the broker where my funds are secure, where I know they are in a country, they have an office and I can go there. I know where the country is on the map, and they comply to certain rules. So I think bigger, stronger companies will push to do the best foot forward, and the client then will reward this, hopefully.
I would say that the broker should expect a constant change in regulations. I think most brokers experience the change of ESMA on the directive on the entire directions. So that makes brokers some brokers are having a few jurisdictions. I think licenses they'll be fine. But if you only stick to one, that I think that risk should be managed. And I think that different regulations or different jurisdiction has different rules. That again, to use different jurisdictions to target certain clients, to offer different service and products. I think that is what the broker should do, and also to create a better trading experience. Yeah, like what Dennis has mentioned. Like, there are some clients who looking for more protections. But there are also sometimes clients are looking for more aggressive products. Then you can choose which jurisdiction that you want to go to.
And from that perspective, from the regulatory risks and other risks, for the new companies, where do you think, for those who are starting, where do you think they should start in terms of the risk management? What should be the first steps? Let's say, given they don't have the big volumes yet and they're just setting up the company, getting all documents in place, everything. What should be the very first things they need to take care of?
I really think that a startup brokers should really consult some technology company and risk management, because sometimes they expect risk management just taking the flow or just pass the flow just like this, A or B. I really don't think so. Yeah. So there are sometimes they, as a startup, they might see that some of the cost of technology might be pricey, but they forgot to understand that what kind of ROI they could bring to them in long run. If you've done a wrong decisions on your own without the help of expert or technology, that will cost you more, not only the money but also the reputation, I would say.
I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, in terms of your ROI, what you mentioned there, as a startup, you need to understand what's the total cost of ownership. So are we going to be a technology firm who's going to be a brokerage as well, or are we going to be a brokerage who's going to be a technology firm? Or are we going to be solely focused on being a broker and get the experts who are in that industry, who understand the technology and the nuances? Sometimes it's very difficult to get people to understand or compare apples versus pears, because saying to yourself, I want to build my own technology, it's not going to cost that much. if you go for a modern SaaS platform, you don't necessarily need to have a massive technology firm or team, sorry. And then what are the costs of the continuous change with regulation, which we've already mentioned as well? Can you keep up with that? Is it ever evolving? So you need to do your maths and put your ducks in a row and understand what is our strategy, where we're going to put all of our time and our focus.
What do you think, Dennis?
I had an interesting discussion with two friends about this. One is running risk in a massive broker in Cyprus, and the other one has a technology company under himself. And we had an argument because the friend from the massive company said we build everything ourselves. And I said, yeah, that's great. And the technology provider friend said, like, what you should take from us. So, and I think it's, as you said, get your ducks in a row, understand what you are and what you are good at. If you're good at marketing and good at risk management, but you need help with other things, maybe you do not want to spend all your energy and money in hosting. Maybe you do not want to build your own bridge, because the time where you do this, the time you lose the opportunity of entering the market. Every time you fail, the reputational risk, as was mentioned, is huge. You're down means your client want to trade somewhere else. So that's just something. A simple example is you do what you're good at, and when I drive, I'm happy I can buy a car. I don't have to build a car. I don't have to build a street, and I don't have to build a traffic light. It's all there. I buy it, and then I do what I'm good at, hopefully speaking here, developing risk software, but I don't have to build a plane to come to this location. And I think a broker should do it a similar way. What are you good at, and what is your key focus? Put everything in this and be the best in what you're good at, and then find partners and companies like you and hopefully me, and then take from us what we can do better, because that's our expertise. So that's what I would try to do.
Yeah, and additional on that, as a startup broker, you need to go to the market faster. I mean, time is essence. I mean, you cannot wait. Let me wait to develop these plugins, tools, then try, and then something wrong, let's change again. By the time, it's a different thing. Yeah.
The side benefit as well, that when you're building your own technology, you're learning on your own mistakes. And when you are using the software providers, you're learning on everyone's mistakes, because they've most likely been through lots of unexpected things, and you're getting this accumulated knowledge, which is even beyond the market where you are at. We still have some minutes, and we can share maybe then how to choose the correct partner for the software and what questions we can ask. Theo, as a broker, maybe you can share first.
Well, there are
Tell us how you choose.
Tell us, yes, what's important, what to look at.
Yeah, there are many providers that are technology providers in the EXPO. For example, Tools for Brokers. I think this. Yeah, I think there are many providers are offering very comprehensive broker solutions that. I think every broker should just explore and understand what their needs, and listen from the expert. Maybe what other brokers has done mistake, and this is what what you should do and how you want to conduct your brokers.
Dennis?
I agree with your point, what you said, from learning from the earlier mistakes, and this is how a broker should choose the tech provider, by seeing who can, besides giving you the USB stick or giving you the key and say, here, have a nice drive, advise you with what the technology company has seen, what they think will be useful for you, provide education and white glove service to help you, because you trusting your back end. I always say it's like changing technology is like heart surgery. It is something super critical, and you want the best ones, and who have seen hundreds of brokers with hundreds of tries and errors. So I think choose the one who can advise you and have been in the industry and knows their stuff. Leave the startups for someone else to try.
We've found that the communities that you work in or work around, so the commodity broker community, the energy trading community, the prime broker community, they're all smaller than you think. And although they are competing against one another, they talk to each other. So we have actually won business because we were, an RFP comes out, then you're in the final two, and then they talk to each other. And before you know it, you fortunately have won it because of experience, because of how you've treated those customers. So it's not all 100% comes down to the use of the technology, but it's are you just another client or are you a partner of ours? So you need to ensure that you understand these communities are smaller than you think, and they talk.
Thank you very much. So I hope you enjoyed and found it useful, get some insights. Very welcome to ask the questions to our panelists. They will appreciate the round of applause if you are happy with the information they shared with you. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Albina.
much.
Thank you, everyone.